So for the records again, wish you a very good evening. Please feel free. Anytime you can excuse me and please we can, because we need to open. Right. Open up. What happened to Dr. Doctor? Interesting. Okay. Right. Okay, so we were discussing about correlation analysis. Now let us remind ourselves why we do perform certain analysis. Now, for example, why do we perform descriptive analysis? What's the main reason for doing descriptive analysis? Why do we do descriptive analysis? You told us to do, so we did it. No. That should be a fun to describe the sum. So you do descriptive analysis, describe the sum. Great. Why do you do correlation analysis? Correlation analysis. See the association between two variables. Why we call correlation analysis a binary analysis? Why do we call the correlation analysis a binary analysis? Yeah. Why do we call a bicycle a bicycle? Because it has two wheels. Bicycle, two wheels, two sides. So let's extend our discussion today. We discussed all. Even I talked to you about the ice cream and down index example. Because I taught you by telling that what? There's a difference between what? Correlation and causation. Correlation and causation. Causation is what? There's a cause and effect relationship. If you do good things, what you get good results. If you do bad things, you get good results. Short term, you might get certain results that you might think it's good, but in the long term, you have to answer. Now, what was it in Sri Lanka? It's really in hot water. Right? For spending millions, and she was telling that she had sold how many packs of whitening cream? It's a good audit case. For me, it's a good audit case. Usually, I don't discuss about that type of thing, but again, for me, it's like an audit case. Now, she was claiming how many packs she had sold? 35,000. No, 25,000. Each 35,000. What about so 35,000. But in fact, the courier agent now is telling how many packs have been sold. Yeah, there are these are we. Also, the government said only 3,500 packs only per account. And also, I think some these kind of people need to go at least to a basic, they have to do basic accounting kind of stuff. Now, he was telling that she earned selling 35,000 per pack, and she was telling that she had sold 25,000 packs, right? And she says that that's how she got the money. But she forgot to account for what? The cost. Costing. So that's what some lawyer might have taught certain things to say to certain people. This happened in Bangladesh, by the way. This is recorded. Okay. This incident took place in Bangladesh. I have to answer how it go. Lawyers. The lawyer might have taught, like, okay, tell that 35,000 packs, 25,000 or 25,000 packs into 35,000. But these lawyers might also need to know, like, the importance of account, particularly in terms of income and expenses, matching principle. Basics right, so that's what it says, right? So that's cause and effect. You do bad things, you get bad. For the short term, you might enjoy with BMWs and Rovers and Colombo. If there are things in Bangladesh, you might get homes and like different kind of thing. But again, you can see what. So cause and effect. So my question is this: does correlation always indicate causality or not? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It might or it might not. Is it? It might or it might not. The example that we had taken, right? Cause and effect. What was the example? Right. Ice cream consumption and down debt. Is there any relationship? No. What was the co-founding variable? What will cause to both to increase? Different. So likewise, we understood these things, and also we understood how to interpret the correlation coefficient. The correlation coefficient ranges from what? -100 to +100, isn't it? -100. -100 means what? No, correlation coefficient is not -100 to +100. What's the value? -1 to +1. -1 means what? That's a perfectly negative correlation. When one variable goes up, the other variable goes down. Right? +1 means what? There's a perfectly positive correlation. We understood that. And also we had certain ranges. Okay, how can we interpret 0.2 to 0.0 to 0.2? How can we interpret the correlation? 0.0 to 0.2. 0 to 0.2. Equal no correlation. So that's very short. Okay. So let's be sure. So this what I was telling is not -100 to +100. -1 plus. Here, 0 to 0.2. This is what I was talking about. The correlation coefficient is from 0 to 0.2. You call it weak or no correlation. By the way, it's 0.2 to 0.4. Weak correlation. Then 0.4 to 0.6 moderate, 0.6 to 0.8 strong. Then 0.81 is very strong correlation. This is how you are going to interpret the correlation coefficient. Right. So keep that in mind. In the exam, you might be given these outputs, and of course, that's how it's going to be tested. Not using calculator, you are going to be given the outputs, and you will be asked to interpret the result. That's how it's going to be tested. So you have to understand and you have to interpret the result. Once again. And today, let's go over correlation analysis and see how we could interpret the result. Then I said portion. Portion is what? What was the portion I made? That correlation and causation Might not be the same thing. In fact, it's not. Correlation might not indicate causation, or it might. It depends. Unless there's a theoretical or logical explanation, it is the way. Right. Then we also understood how to draw a picture of a correlation. What's that for? What diagram? Did we draw that? No. We'll do the next x-axis and y-axis and yes. I could remember very well, right? Okay. Let's go on. Scatter diagram or scatter dot diagram. So dot diagram, what can we call it? So you have two axes in this diagram, in this figure. The x-axis and the y-axis. What x-axis stands for? Depending on the dependent variable. X-axis independent variable. The independent variable. The y-axis indicates the dependent variable. Right. So that's what we did, and we drew certain diagram based on that. That was me. Right. Now let's perform correlation analysis. Now today we have a look at the relationship between these variables. Employee satisfaction. Salary. Salary and employee satisfaction. What kind of relationship do you expect? When salary goes up, what happens to the satisfaction? It goes down. Okay. Then salary and absenteeism. What kind of relationship is there? When salary goes up, people get more and more absent. No, they get motivated and the absenteeism goes down. So that's a negative. Salary and height. I'm not sure, if any politician in Bangladesh makes a stupid statement, I'll be taking up that. So there was one politician in Bangladesh was saying, what? Security. If you are told you should get a security job, and if you are short, you should get what? What? A labor. So he made a reference between the height and the job. Is there a relationship between height and the salary? We'll see. I don't know. We need to collect data and we will see whether there's a relationship or not. But there are, at least that man is a fool, but in Bangladesh. But he's not a thief. He's not a thief, he's not a fraudster. He did not steal money from people. So that's at least he might be put there in Bangladesh. Right. Okay. Now let's see how to do this correlation analysis to see the relationship between these variables. Right. So the information is given. You can see the salary values are given in thousands. Salary values are given in thousands, and the employee satisfaction in a 1 to 4 scale has been measured. In 1 to 4 scale, it has been measured. We call this scale 1 to 4 scale, or 1 to 5 scale, or 1 to 7 scale. What we call it? We just success. What we call that scale? The Likert scale. The Likert scale. Biscuit show. So salary and employee satisfaction is given, salary and employee absenteeism is given, and if you go to the next slide, what's there? Salary and height is also given. Height and salary. So if you take height and salary, what's the independent and what's the dependent rate? Height and salary, what's the independent and what's the dependent? Height is what? The independent. Independent. Salary is what? The dependent. Dependent. What causes what? Right. So according to that qualification in Bangladesh, right? Height poses or height has an impact on that. Okay. Right. First thing what you have been asked is to draw a scatter plot diagram using this data. So you have three variables here. To plotting, you have three variables. What are those? Salary is there, satisfaction is there, and what? Height is there, and absence is there. There are four. So now what we do is we'll try to draw a scatter plot diagram first to understand what kind of relationship is there, and afterwards we'll try to do the computation. Right? We'll perform a correlation analysis and we'll try to see how to interpret the result. Right. To do that, we'll go back and we'll open the relevant file. Now here's the file given to you, or you can go and download from the LMS. By the way, I was given a little bit of an alarm information. What's that? The semester is going to end soon, right? I got a little bit of shocking information. I was contacted by the coordinators, but it's not shocking. We'll do it somehow. So it seems by the mid of next month we have finished everything. Right? We working for. So that means we have to expedite the part. I think salary satisfaction cut back on itself, assignment can cut back from the right. So immediately let's discuss that. So when it comes to the assignment structure for package-based data analytics, what's the assignment structure? Continuous assessment structure. You have how many continuous assessments? So we have all kinds of deep. What are those? First of all, you have 5 classroom assessments. Today we do one. We'll have to do it. 5 classroom assessments. So what's the weightage for it? 10%. Then you have one individual assessment. One individual report you have. What's the percentage for that? 8%. Then you have what? Is that the end of the story? No. I wish that was there. No, you have. But again, these are not my, my developments or my introduction. These are the course outline which was given to me in the future. So what was the next component then? For 30% you have to do what? A group assignment. You have a group report as well as the group presentation. The group presentation weightage is how much? 10. The group report percentage is how much? 10. So together you have 50% of 20%. Right. So now let's decide how we have to do that. Again, as I told you, for the earlier subjects, what's that? Digital business strategy. I'm going to combine your group present. So you can present the same thing that you do as well. So yeah, at least it's a relief, I hope so. So what you need to do? So this is what you need to do. Please go to the LMS and there will be, and of course now it's not going to be September. Right. 15 weeks from whenever the commence lectures, right? 15 weeks. It was September, but now not it's not September. So it seems August, that was the first week of August. I think we have to finish it. So we have quite less time. I told you that we are only in the week. The 8 weeks. We need another 7 weeks to go, but it means we might not have that much of luxury because of time. So what we do is we expedite. So that's what I'll just take a bit of time to tell you what's required. Under the individual assignment, this is what we need to do. You need to create your own company. You need to create your own data and apply all kinds of analysis that you learned under XP. So that's what it says. Please go to this. It says what? You need to create a case study. First, it says you need to create a case study of your own and apply the data analytics techniques of experiences you have learned during the lecture. Right? So it's a bogus company that you are going to create. A bogus company means a made up company. You can make up whatever the company you want, and you can put some data and apply experiences analytics that we have discussed. Okay, what we are discussing at the moment, still behind the correlation line. Yes. So yes, you have to apply that. You should not choose the data and words used in the case, which he had already used. I'll show you some cases. And what you need to do is you have to compile the report in this manner. Your details, first page, brief introduction to the case company, at least one page, then SPSS analysis. So you can apply now. So far, we have discussed descriptive analysis and today correlation analysis, then regression analysis, then t-test, one way and all, like there are host of analysis that we have going to discuss under SPSS. You have to apply those analysis to this bogus data, made up data. We call this made up data synthetic data. Synthetic database. You have to create a synthetic database and apply what you have studied under SPSS for this particular assignment. So you can, I'll show you, or maybe you can come up with your own company, there's no problem. A case study, maybe you can take any case and you can put some dependent variables and you can say what's the descriptive analysis, you can perform descriptive analysis, describe the sample. On the other hand, you can perform correlation analysis, regression analysis, t-test, one way and over, fact analysis, etc., etc. So when you present that, you have to tell under each of the analysis, what's the objective of the analysis and steps that you follow to perform that analysis. Then what are the final screenshots and then explanation of the final output. So this is what is required under the individual assignment. So it's very easy to create your own company and then apply. Don't just create a company. Any scenario that you want, put some independent variables, dependent variables, and apply the analysis that we have discussed in the class. That's what's required. No big deal. But your group assignment is the big deal. Here you have to select a research study that has been already done. A research study that has been already done. And by the way, you only go to the group for you know are you going to do this subject or not? First decide that, right? And then you can decide whether you are going to do the group assignment or not. So still I don't know like how many students are going to do this subject. But however, create groups. That creates a big problem because who will be the group name? So create yourself groups, whatever the groups that you want. So maybe maximum 5. Like here code 6, okay. Okay, 6. Third, oh wait. Okay, right. So what happened to your original groups? I think now people are doing the research, people are doing this. I don't know what's the case. So that creates self kind of problem. But again, let's say maximum. So getting the 7 member groups, maximum, minimum 5 members, maximum 7. Let's put a minimum flow as well. So minimum 7, maximum, minimum 5, maximum 6. So create groups and start that. To do that, you need to select a company, select a research that has been already done. And you have to get one from the internet, and you need to use the same questionnaire that the particular research had used and do that. To make things easy, what I do is maybe I'll allocate research. I have got certain research, so I'll allocate the research topics to make things quick. What I need is now the two batch leaders are there. We have new, as well as we have this. How batch leaders are here? Within the meeting. That is there three batches. Okay. Here, say 15, 15, the B, the C, the C. Okay. The two batch leaders, please kindly submit either group info. Put a Google form and please do submit the group. Then I allocate a research to you that you can collect data and analyze the data. I give you the research as well. I think it will make things easy. Making a critical report for the evaluate Kerala, I don't think you will be able to do it. Why this decision was taken, I asked why it was expedited. What's the reason? So in December, you are going to have your convocation. So for the convocation, to send you off, they need to finish the lectures as soon as possible. That's the reason they are expedited. I told, okay, I'll try my best to deliver the content. It's a challenge. You have less time and a lot of things to cover. But I told I cannot compromise the quality. In that case, we might need to do additional lectures, online lectures. Yes. Quality compromise, right? So therefore, the batch leaders kindly put up, give me a list of two. And it will be the online part. But you will have a great challenge in understand who is going to do this subject or not. Of course, I do understand. But what to do? We need to create groups. So I would very much appreciate if you can do that by next week. Right. So then I can do the report and you can start the group assignment. And usually, you know how I take assignments. How do I take the assignments? It's like the last day of the semester, I'm going to take your work. Individual assignment. Week before last, I'm going to take what? The group assignment. I don't know whether I should do that. Maybe we have to go for the last day of the semester. Because if not, you won't have time. So what I'll make is, I'll give the benefit to you. So always the law has the principle one. Doubt is given to whom? The benefit of doubt is given to whom? Family the person who complains or who's been accused. What does it? Who is being accused? Whether call the accused or the accused. But I'm going to give the benefit to you because you are the people who are going to have a little bit of hard time because of. Therefore, I will make the group presentation, the report submission and the group presentation on the last day of the semester. And I'll give an additional week, right, to submit the report. To submit the report, I'll give an additional week. That means after the semester ends. After the semester ends, I'll do one. So therefore, it might be you can initially do that, and you might not have lectures during that week, of course. And so how will you do that way? Because I have to be very practical. So last day of the lecture series will be your presentation. And the normal rules apply. If you don't come to the presentation, what happens? You will get 0. It all depends on what? Whether you have contributed to the report or not. On the last day, if you don't come, what happens is this. I'm going to ask the other members, did this person contribute? If they say yes, then I'll say, okay, show evidence. So you have to show evidence. And if there's plausible evidence, then I will give only the group report marks 10 marks out of 100. It's out of 10. Then for the presentation, you get how much? 20 marks. That person loses that 20 marks if they don't come on that. And it's the last day and there won't be other days to present test. So there's a great risk, but can't help. What to do? We have a less amount of time, so we have to repeat do things a bit fast. But I don't want to compromise the goal. So therefore, what you can do is now form the groups as soon as possible, and the group leaders please send it to me, submit to me by next week. Then I'll allocate you research reports and tell what you need to do under the group assignment. For all these things, you have effectively 1 month. And for individual assignments, we have 1 week more for them. So there's really time for the individual assignment, but for the group one, we have to act fast. So therefore, I kindly request put a Google form and get maximum 7 members, minimum 5 members, make those groups, and please start the work. Right. For doing the work, I need the list, and I will allocate a group report to you. Then I tell what exactly you need to do. I'll guide you for what you have to do. So you can get data from yourself. For that, you need actual data. So I'll allocate you research that's related to students. So you can collect data by yourself. You can, in your batch as well as in your other senior batch or the junior batch, you can send it all to the other university students around the country. You can send it, and you can get data, real data, and you have to do that. So there I'm going to teach you how to collect data, and so that's the next understanding. But again, it takes time. The individual one, it doesn't take time because it takes time to do the report, but it's where you use your created, made up data. But here you have to get proper data. Okay, that's related to the individual assignment and the group assignment. Individual assignment is not the big problem, the group assignment is the big problem. So I kindly ask the 2 batch leaders or all the batch leaders who are relevant for the relevant batches to come up with what? Group list, and please give that to me by next week. Okay. Right. Any questions related to the assignments? In classroom assessments, we have to start immediately. Other challenging because some people are online, some people are from other countries, but again, I don't know, it's a bit messy. But we have to do something. We have to do something. Because it's 10 marks, so we have to account for that 10 marks, and we'll see what kind of things will be done. In fact, I told you that today will be having what? And see, I did not forget that. But we'll see whether we can have that, or we'll see whether we are going to have it next week. Other one the next report. Okay. But this is the thing that even the people who are online and joining from other countries, we have to come on this time. So they are the respective batch leaders, please take a note of it and inform that next week at this time we are going to have individual assessment. Because I need to allocate marks so that individual assessment is in the 4 series. Oh, sorry. And so let's do that next week. You don't need to hurry. So the coverage would be Descriptive analysis and correlation analysis. Descriptive analysis and correlation analysis will be what will be covered in the MCQ test next. So how am I going to test it? Very simple. I'm going to give you the output and I'm going to ask you to interpret it. Based on that output of SPSS, I'm going to ask certain questions, which is MCQ based. So that's what you have to individually answer those questions. No computers are required. You need to bring on your phone, a smart one. So you have to, but on the other hand, you have to catch what's there. The output will be given as a PDF file. Based on that PDF file, you will be asked certain questions. MCQs, and you have to fill that MCQs and press submit. And you will be administered through the LMS. So let's make your life easy through Google Form. That's it. Okay, because I see a lot of complications here. The optional subject, an elective one, joining from all over this world, and also still there is no conclusive evidence for me who is taking this subject. Conclusive evidence. I need conclusive. Still, I don't have this. So there are significant challenges present. And yes, then I made a small request to change the venue because here it's not the best experience we can get here by teaching computers in this manner. But it seems there is a problem because of this smart board. Smart board is not accessible at Srilanka, it seems, in the venues available. So we have to care of it. Smart board in the computer, where the tables are, computer tables over where the computers are, smart boards are not there. So therefore, there are certain issues. Let's manage those challenges. We will try to manage and we will try to figure out desired outcome. Okay, right. So that's about the group assignment and the individual assignment as well as the class assessment. So we might need to do the class assessments as well. Quite challenging, is it? I don't know what they do. We'll see. I think carefully, creatively, you might get good ideas. I'm getting some ideas, but I'm not going to vocalize that oral. Right? I'm getting some ideas. We'll see this. Right. So we do like this. Right. So this is about the group submission, group assignment, and the individual submission. Right, again back to correlation analysis. Now open. Now go to the data tables, data files. There is a file called session 3. And we are in session 3. Session 3. Please go to the file called salary satisfaction height. Salary status height. Please go to the LMS and download. LMS into download. It's a SPSS file. .SAA. What is it? Those who open, please raise your hands. It was a good year. Rocket or dance? Right. Now what we shall do? Right. Now we see how to do a coordination act. Please write down performing. Please write down. Please write down. Performing correlation analysis. Please write down. Performing correlation analysis. Performing correlation analysis. Performing correlation analysis using SPSS. 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 Now write down the steps. First of all, open the relevant file. Right. First of all, step number 1, open the relevant file. The SPSS file in it. Open the relevant SPSS file. Right, now write down the steps. The steps to clear. Go to analyze. Write down analyze and put a small arrow. Analyze ke liye podi key talenta. Then go to where? Go to correlate. And then go to bivariate. Right. Analyze, correlate, bivariate. Why bivariate? Because two variables. Analyze, correlate, bivariate. So once you click on that, again let me show you what I did. I went to analyze, correlate, bivariate. Then the usual dialog box appears, and now let's select salary satisfaction. There is no order, but I just selected salary and satisfaction. And you can see already Pearson has been selected by default. You know, Pearson is selected for the screen. Pearson has been selected. Leave it as it is. That's good. So what I did was I effectively took these two variables and you can press OK. Just select these two variables and you can press OK. What kind of correlation is there? Now, before you could interpret the correlation coefficient, you have to look at something called the sig value. Sig value 2K. Can you see? Now, the Pearson's correlation coefficient is 1 here. Can you see that? It's 1. And then it says there are two asterisks over there, 2 stars, which says correlation is significant at 1% level. 0.01 is 1% level. What do you mean by? Now, it shows here sig level. Sig level is the significance level. It's called the probability level. If you compute this value, sig value, it is yes. When? On the valid person. What is the given? When I told you what? Test of normal. I got you how many tests of normal? I got you 10 tests of. How many tests of normal? 2 tests of normal. Chapter of will and what was the chapter of will? I go. Chapter of will. And Colombo. I'm Simple root it says what? The sig value is first here. I told that day sig value is the probability value, and if it is less than 0.05, say that the data is not known. That's the only thing I told you. Then I told you that day that when I teach you correlation, I will teach you what is significance level. Did I teach you? Today the day has come to fulfill that promise. I make very promises very clear, but once I make it, I deliver it. So these good promises or bad promises, right? Okay. So it says salary, and salary is 1. Ignore the diagonal. Diagonal is not required. Salary and satisfaction is what you have to look at. And you can see the same thing is repeated again. Satisfaction and salary. So these are the same. Isn't it? Okay. This is the same as this. That's the way it is. So because it has interchanged the variables. So ignore this one. Right? Ignore this one that says 1 and 1. It's salary and salary, satisfaction and satisfaction. It's not important. Now we have to understand what is significance level. What is significance level here? To understand that, you have to go back to the slide. And let's try to understand. Let's go to the slideshow. Right. Now look at this particular depiction over here and try to understand once for all. Right. Right. Insert or exert your maximum focus on this slide. Try to understand that in one shot. Now look at the confidence level. Then there is significance level. In statistics, what do you mean by confidence level? Here in statistics, confidence level means how confident are you that there is a real relationship. Same thing is what we call in day-to-day language as well. Confidence level. Now in almost 2 months' time, we will have an exam. And then on top floor in the examination center, now you enter into the exam hall. Just visualize. And package-based data analytics is a subject on that. Visualize. Now you are just entering. So here is the exam center and I'm here. And when you are entering, I'm asking what? How confident are you about the exam? And how confident are you that you will pass this exam? The first student enters and says what? I studied very well. I came to all your lectures, sir. I studied very well. So I am confident that I'll get an A plus. Extremely good. I will go and write, okay, sit and write the exam. Then another student enters the exam mode. The first question is, I asked him, are you a student of SAP? I have never seen that person. The person looks at me and says, yes, sir. I am a student of you. I told, okay. Maybe in some other university, maybe. No, sir, SAP. Okay. Okay, I'm asking that, how confident are you about the exam? He says, well, here, I had all other responsibilities and other than studying. I had, sir, 5 kids, 2 wives, 3 jobs, and so on going to start. I don't know, okay. He says, so I have only 50% confidence that I pass this exam. Same thing here. In statistics also, same thing. How confident are you the results hold? How confident are you that there is a real statistical relation? Same thing. So, would you like a higher confidence or a lower confidence? Would you like always a higher confidence or a lower confidence? Higher confidence. Usually in statistics, you expect 95% confidence, or even 99% confidence. Higher the better of confidence, isn't it? There are 3 levels of confidence in statistics that we consider: 90%, 95%, 99%. So usually you would say, to say that there's a real systematic relationship, you should have at least 95% or above confidence level. So higher the confidence, better. Higher the confidence, better. That's what it says. So that's why the 3 levels are there: 90%, 95%, 99%. Put your full focus. Then focus. But on the other hand, significance level. When confidence level is 90%, the significance level is 10%. Can you see that? When confidence level is 95%, the significance level is 5%. When confidence level is 99%, the significance level is 1%. So now I'm going to ask you, is there a relationship between confidence and significance level? Is there? Yes. It's the same thing as both sides of the coins. It's the same thing. Same coin, we have 2 sides. So either you can express the confidence level or the significance level. Agree? So if I say the confidence level is 95%, what's the significance level? Now, very carefully tell me this answer. Right? To this question that I'm going to ask. Would you like higher significance or lower significance? Higher significance or lower significance? Lower significance. Why? Lower significance signifies what? Higher confidence. So that's what you have done. So that's why I was always telling what? Less than 0.05. That means less than 5% means what? More than 95%. In SPSS, what it indicates is significance, not the confidence. That's why I was always saying, look something less than 5%. 0.0. Keep that very in mind. That's what I told you. This is, you have to learn only once. Once you learn that, that's it. Why you always would see less than 5%. That means you have more than 95%. In statistics, that's the secret that for some unfortunate reason, in SPSS, it indicates the significance level, not the confidence level. Why is that? We have to go and ask the programmers of SPSS why they take the significance level, not the confidence level. Right. Now, having that in mind, let's go back to the correlation result. Now, look at this correlation result. The significance level is 0.0000 something very small. Is it good or bad? Is it good or bad? It's extremely good. That means it's less than 0.05. In fact, it's less than 0.01. Less than 0.01. That means it's more than 99% confidence you have what? That there's a real systematic relationship between these two variables, salary and satisfaction. So therefore, even before you look at the correlation coefficient, look at the significance level. And always expect something to say that there's a real systematic relationship. It has to be less than 0.05. Are you happy with this? Indeed. Less than 0.05. That means you have more than 99% confidence versus even less than 0.01. That means you have more than 99% confidence that there's a real systematic relationship between salary and satisfaction. That's the difference. So, significance and what? Same things expressed in significance. Right. Now, can you tell me the relationship between salary and absenteeism? Can you check and tell? Shall we do that? That's the next pair. Now we checked salary and satisfaction. Now let's check salary and height. Not height, that's the third one. Salary and absenteeism. Can you do that? Okay. So you can go to the data set. Go to analyze, correlate, bivariate. Now take away satisfaction. Go to absenteeism. Absence. So now there are two variables. Salary and absence. Press OK. Press OK. What kind of relationship is there? Is the relationship significant? Yes or no? Yes. It's less than 0.01. You expect 0.05 less than, but yes, again 0.0000 something very small. So yes, there's a significant, but very strong negative relationship or perfectly negative relationship between salary and absenteeism, which is again repeated over. Same thing repeated here. So that's the interpretation. There's a very strong, significant negative relationship between salary and absenteeism. Right? Now let's see the third pair. What was the third pair? Height and salary. Height and salary. Is there a relationship? Are all people getting more salary? Are one security, excellent security, mission and control? Well, we'll see. We'll see. How to check that? Again, you go to analyze, correlate, you go to bivariate. Now you take absenteeism back and you put height again. Now salary, height is also there. Press OK. What kind of relationship is there? Can we say there is a weak negative relationship? Never tell that. Before you comment on the correlation coefficient, look at the significance level. Is it significant? The sigma value is 0.567, that means 56.7%. We could tolerate a maximum of how much? 5%, 0.05. So you have very low confidence level in this case. Very low confidence level. So you will interpret, right? You never should say that there's a weak negative relationship between height and salary. You have to conclude in this manner. You have to say there's no real systematic relationship between height and salary. Please write down. Please write down. Since the sigma value within brackets P value. P simple, right? P value, probability, P value, probability value. This is a seed value within brackets P value, P simple, probability value, close brackets. Is above 0.05. Is above 0.05. It is concluded that. It is concluded that there is no real systematic relationship. There is no real systematic relationship. There's no real systematic relationship between height and the salary height and the salary of the employee. Height and salary of the employee. Right. There's no real relation. Never say that there's a weak negative relation. Okay, after this, all of that. So therefore, before you interpret the correlation coefficient, you have to look at what? The sequence. That will be less than 0.05 to say that there is a systematic relationship. Positive point. And you can present these tables now. I purposely took it as 3 tables, but you can present it as 1 table. How to present that? So let's put it in 1 table. So you can go to analyze. You can go to correlate, and you can go to bivariate. And why don't you put satisfaction and even absence? You go to, then you will get a huge matrix, and in that matrix you will see all things together. Except I did put all others. I did get an alpha. Salary, height, satisfaction, absence. Put all things. That's it. Press OK. How you get a huge matrix with same information? Now I told you, ignore the diagonal. This is called the diagonal because it has the same variable, salary and salary. Same thing. Ignore it. Height and height. Ignore that. Satisfaction and satisfaction. Ignore that. Absence. Ignore that. Diagonal. Ignore. And also, above the diagonal things are repeated below the diagonal. Right? Above the enable, below I repeat relative. For an example, if you say salary and height, it's minus 2.40. Here, height and salary, same thing is minus 2.40. So you don't need to see it again. This is a one option. So even you can ignore the top part. Just ignore. Right. So you can see all the relations. So salary and height is not having a systematic relationship because the p value of the sig value is less than is above 0.05. But satisfaction and salary, yes, there's a perfectly positive correlation and significantly. And absence and salary is having a perfectly negative relationship. And it's significant. That's why we right. So that's what you have to understand. In your earlier studies, this part was not taught you. In earlier studies, they just interpreted what? The correlation coefficient. But in our studies, in this stage, we calculate the and given to you what? The significance level. Based on that, you have to what? Whether there is a systematic relationship or not. Okay. Questions? Is that clear? Right. We'll do some additional exercises as well, and then I'll ask you to come forward and explain to me the result. No. Okay. Hospitals. Understaffed, they have gone abroad, they have not come back because of high tax and low salaries for doctors. And also it happens to be a Saturday. Saturdays are for generally understaffed. So no, I'm not going to ask any questions. And but I'm going to give you this question to you. Right. Okay. So for this exercise, I think our students' camera is on. Maybe someone has camera has been on. So you can shut it down. Right. Now go back to your data and go to session 2 survey for ED. There's a file called session 2 survey for ED. It's an SPSS file. Open it. Session 2 survey for ED. You have to download it. Maybe you downloaded it last week. Session 2 survey for ED. So these exercise. So I'll give small exercise. Nice. Please take down the question. Right. Open session 2, survey for session 2, survey for 85, and perform correlation analysis between the following ages: age, total life satisfaction, total person stress, and total occupancy. If you go to that file, you will find that age is there in the top. Age is there. And then here you have down, down, down. You have total optimism, the 120th variable. Then you have total life satisfaction, 124th variable, and 125th variable is total perceived stress. Optimism, life satisfaction, and stress. And you have age. So please compute and count. Stress, age, optimism, life satisfaction. Tell me what kind of relationship are they? It was done full graph. One correlation and natural. What kind of relationship? What kind of relationship? What kind of relationship? What kind of relationship? All right, like you guys now take equal and like kind of correlation is there. So we take age as the independent variable. Age as the independent variable, and the dependent variables could be life satisfaction, stress, and optimism. See whether age has an association with the life satisfaction. See whether age has an association with total perceived stress. See age has an association with the total optimism of a person. How people are optimistic. Some people might say when the age goes up, you get optimistic, isn't it? So anyone who got answers? Very good. I hope students have got the answers. So let's start with. Go to the data set. Now remind me, what was selected node? How to do a correlation analysis? First go to what? You go to graphs. Go to graph. Graph analysis. Analysis. What the partition getting for you for Bangladesh? Then what? Only. Then why vary? Then you go to age. Then what? We are total optimism, total unsatisfaction, total percent stress. Select all and press OK. So since the table cannot be seen by people at the back, what I'll do is I'll copy this. Put it in a bullet point. Now let's see. Now ignore the diagonal. And even you can delete these things if you don't want. Why? Because the same thing is down there. So what kind of relationship is there between age and total optimism? What kind of relationship is there? Age and total optimism? What kind of relationship is there? Age and total optimism. When age goes up, does the total optimism goes up? Yes. And you can see it's significant at even 1% level. It's significant at 1% level. Let's see that. So therefore, you can say there's a weak, because it's 0.2, there's a weak positive correlation between age and total optimism. That's your interpretation. There's a weak positive relationship. Why not you take down? Please take down. There's a weak positive correlation between age and total optimism of employees. Right. Now tell me, what kind of relationship is there between age and total life satisfaction? Age and total life satisfaction have got the relationship. What's the relationship? What's the relationship? There's no systematic relationship. Because why? The seek level is above 0.05. So please take down. There is no systematic real relationship between. There is no systematic real relationship between age and total life satisfaction. Age and total life satisfaction. Then age and total perceived stress. Is there a relationship? Yes, there's a relationship, but it's weak and negative. So you can say there's a weak negative relationship between age and total perceived stress. There's a weak negative relationship between age and total perceived stress. Total perceived stress. There's a weak negative relationship between age and total perceived stress because the sig value is less than 0.05. Is that clear? That's how you would interpret it. Always look at the sig value first before you go for the interpretation. Sig value is one age. Sig value is 0.05 again. There's no systematic relationship. If it is less than 0.05 only, interpret the coefficient. Unfortunately, this factor was not taught to you in your earlier statistics lecture. But now you know, first look at the picture and then interpret the coefficient. Right, shall we take a 20-minute break? Yes, my time to get a 20-minute break. So please comment 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Thank you. But I'm going to take out of that 5. position. Okay, so welcome back. Right. Are there any questions related to correlation analysis? Correlation analysis? Then let's start with the analysis. So we'll start with the regression analysis now. Regression, we discussed about correlation analysis. Now let's discuss about regression analysis. You can see session 4 regression analysis is there. Now let's try to see and let's try to enlighten ourselves on regression analysis. Right. Again, to remind you, why we do this analysis? Why do we do descriptive analysis? What's the main purpose? To describe some descriptive. Descriptive analysis is also to describe the sample. Let's check. So I was asked whether we can have 8 members. I told okay. Members are actually so fine. Request from the audit. Right. So then we now just discussed and finished correlation analysis. Why do we do correlation analysis? Sir, he told us to do and he did that. No. We have everything, there's a reason. There should be a purpose. Why are we doing this thing? Don't ask very, what is some answer? Fearsome questions. Why are we doing this? So my father told me to do because my father told that he will chase me. So my uncle told that to do. So my boyfriend is doing, girlfriend is doing. No, you are doing this degree. Don't take one of the best options that you have to get a good life. A good at least a career. Right. So likewise, we have all these analysis. There is a reason why you should do or why you are decision. So then descriptive analysis is to describe the sample. So why do you do a correlation analysis? A correlation is just to see the association of the relationship between two areas. Now we have come to the regression. So please take down a large topic, regression and go to the regression and regression. Regression and regression. What's the main purpose? To do predictions. You see, you do a prediction. To perform predictions, you perform prediction. Out of independent variables, you are going to predict the dependent variable. Prediction. We'll see how to do it. So yes, please open the regression analysis slide. Regression analysis. So you can tell the main purpose is to perform predictions. You do regression analysis for prediction. So we call this predictive analytics aspect. Right? Predictive analytics. Then there are two kinds of regression. There are certain things that there, but mainly two kinds of regression: simple regression and multiple regression. So please take down simple regression and multiple regression. Simple regression and multiple regression. Simple regression and multiple regression. Simple regression, multiple regression. So in a simple regression, you have one independent variable and one dependent variable. In a simple regression, you have one independent variable, that's x. X is always an independent variable. One independent variable and one dependent variable. X is an independent variable. So this is x. And the dependent variable is 1. But before going for that, let's now try to understand the equation of a straight line. If you take equation of a straight line. Right. So you can see there's a diagram. What's this axis? Is this the horizontal or the vertical axis? What's the horizontal axis? It's known as what? X. Why it's called X? Because it's X. Why call a man is a man? Then this is what? What? So this is the usual way. And then if you draw a straight line like this, it is for what? When x is 0, the y value, what's that? When x is 0, what's the y value? That's called what? The intercept. That's called the intercept. When x is 0, what's y? Then the slope. That's called what? That's called what? Slope is known as what? That's the point. That's the point. Now, when you did your O levels, you were taught this. Right? When you did your O levels, maybe you have forgotten that 20 years back when you did your O level, that you were not born. If I have my O levels 20 years back, no. Maybe a few years back you might have done your O levels, O levels. There in mathematics, the teacher should have taught you this. You write the straight line, the equation of straight line as what? Y equals. So straight line is was it y equals a plus bx. Right? This is what your teacher taught you. I don't know whether you can remember. Your teacher taught you this is the equation of a straight line. What? Y equals a plus bx. What's a? A is what? A is what? The intercept. A is the intercept. That means this value. When x is 0, what's the y value? That's the intercept. A is here the intercept. Then plus bx. What's b? What's b? The slope. Right? This is the slope. X is the independent variable. X is the independent. So what it tells is X could be used to predict Y. X could be used to predict Y. X could be used to predict Y. Now, say for an example, let's say income and rice consumption. The income level of people and the rice consumption. What's X? Income. Then rice consumption. That's what. Now, when you have no income, X is income and Y is rice consumption. When you have no income, can there be any rice consumption? People who have no income also would eat rice. How? By begging or donations. Or by robbing. By selling this white thing or not income, but still you have consumption. That's what there's an intersection. That means when there's no income, X is 0, X into B is 0, but still there is Y. That's called the intersection. That's called the intersection. When X is 0, what's the Y value? That's it. The slope is what? That's B. That's what you studied in your ordinary levels, right? Now we are in the much more advanced level and a degree. So we are going to call now not Y equals A plus BX. We are going to call the same thing Y equals alpha plus beta X. Same thing. So that's what you get here. This is beta, right? This is beta. Now, okay, or you can write it like Y equals, you can write the same thing. Y equals alpha plus beta X. Right. You can do any value. Here it's beta 0. That means that's the intercept. Here beta 1 is the slope. So what I'm telling is, if you know X, you can predict Y. If you know the income level of people, you can predict the consumption of price. Right? But can you predict consumption of price exactly by looking at only the income? No. There are other reasons, so other factors that could influence the price consumption, like the substitutes, the complements, and lot of the taste and etc. 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 Some people might not now consuming rice, they might be consuming what? Bread. Some people might be consuming food now for efficiency. So that's what's suitable for this. But again, what I'm telling is you can make perfect predictions. You might not be able to perfectly predict by using only one independent variable or even a couple of independent variables. You might not be able to 100% predict an outcome. Now, say for an example, the number of hours you study and the marks you get for the SPSS next week's exam. So, what kind of relationship is there? So, there are two independent and one independent and dependent variable. What's the independent variable? Number of hours you study SPSS. The dependent variable is the marks that you are going to get out of 10. Let's say for an example. So, can the number of hours you study itself predict the outcome of Y? The marks. Can it solely determine the mark that you are going to get? No. Your IQ level, whether you are going to get support, and whether you practice certain questions. Likewise, a lot of other variables also might be there as independent variables. So remember, you cannot predict this 100% accurately. Therefore, there will be an error always in your prediction. To recognize that error, you can see we are going to add a term like this, plus E. Here this E. It's not pronounced as E. Can someone tell me how to pronounce that error term? Overtake of master. Epsilon. 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 This one, epsilon is epsilon. Epsilon. Don't worry if you forget that. Don't worry, I'm not going to come in the exam. On the exam day, I'm not going to come and ask you, okay, tell that much for one code. One mark. I'm not going to ask you to do that. I'm not going to come for the exam as well. This Jennifer will be looking after that, right? Perfectly. So it's epsilon. And this is the error term, right? Because we cannot predict this 100%. So always there will be an error. So this is what you see. Y equals beta 0. Beta 0 is the intercept. It can be alpha, beta, whatever, beta 0. Then beta 1 is the slope, and x is the independent variable, and error is the error term, because you cannot make 100% perfect prediction. Right? It's not possible. You can have some kind of accuracy, but not 100% perfect prediction. So this is what you have to understand. And this is what we are going to do from today onwards. I'm going to do complete regression analysis, and we have a significant discussion to make, and even we are going to check the significant kind of assumptions for regression analysis, Euler's regression. So these is called the ordinary least squares regression, and we are going to check the assumptions like multicollinearity, heteroscedasticity, then autocorrelation, Derwin-Watson, like several things we are going to discuss, but in time to come, because you have to understand those things in doing an Euler's regression, which will be covering one by one. Don't. But basics first. I took you to your O levels, and then I told you, okay, how you write the equation of the straight line. Is that clear? So there's one independent variable and an independent variable. There's an intercept as well as slope. So that's what you get here. So here, how many independent variables you have? Yes, there are. But one independent variable. What's that? Yes. So if you have only one independent variable and indeed one dependent variable, that's called a simple regression. You can take out. You have one simple, you have one independent variable and a dependent variable, one independent variable and a dependent variable. That's called a simple regression. A simple regression. One independent variable and a dependent. A simple regression. On the other hand, now in this regression equation, how many independent variables are there? You have x1, x2, and xp. More than one independent variable. If you have more than one independent variable, that is called multiple regression. More than one independent variable. If you have only one independent variable and an independent variable, it's called simple regression. If you have more than one independent variable, it's called what? Multiple or multivariate regression. Multivariate. Multiple or multivariate regression. Multiple or multivariate regression is known as that. You have more than one independent variable. You have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, or 1. More than one independent variable. Right? If you have more than one independent variable, it is known as multiple or multivariate. Also known as multivariate or multiple regression. But still, you will have always an error term, because again, if you have even 5, 6 independent variables, you might should be able to 100% predict the outcome. That's very usual, isn't it? 100% you might not be able to predict an outcome. Nature of life is that. Right. Right. Now let's take an example and try to see how to perform a regression analysis. An OLS regression analysis. That's what we call a straight line. You are trying to predict the line. That's what is called ordinary least squares regression analysis. Right. So please take down performing a regression analysis, performing an OLS regression analysis, performing an OLS regression analysis, performing an OLS regression analysis using SPS. Performing an OLS regression analysis using SPSS. Let's see how to do, right, how to perform an OLS regression analysis using SPS. For that, we are going to use this example. Read the example. This called program a salary survey. So read what it says. A software firm collected data for a sample of 20 computer programs. A suggestion was made that regression analysis could be used to determine if salary was related to the years of experience and the score, the marks on the firm's programmer's aptitude test. The years of experience, score on the aptitude test, and for the marks on the aptitude test, and the corresponding annual salary in $1,000 for a sample of 20 programmers are shown in the next slide. So, based on this information, can you tell me what are the independent variables and the dependent variables? What are the independent variables? What are the independent variables? There are two independent variables. What are those? One, the experience. Two, the mark or the score the person has got in the application. What's the dependent variable? So what we are trying to do is, we have two independent variables and we are trying to predict the dependent variable. Right, that's what we are doing. And we do that maybe today to a certain extent or maybe next week. The question is this: is this a simple regression or multiple regression? Simple or multiple? Not simple. Why? Why it's multiple regression? Because you have more than one independent. Right? You have more than one independent variable. That means you have two independent variables. That's the experience and marks that person got for the aptitude test in this for the program. So you can see. So this is the data set. 20 programmers. You have this. Score is the marks for that person got for the aptitude test marks, and then you have the experience and you have salary. So you are going to predict the salary of a computer programmer using two independent variables, marks plus the experience. That's it. Okay. Now, based on past data, you are going to create a regression equation, and based on that, you are going to do a prediction of salary. That's what you are going to do, and we do it today. And then next day, we'll try to introduce a dummy variable, right, or a qualitative variable as well, like gender, or having professional qualifications sort of like that. Right. First thing what we need to do is we have to now convert this data which is in PowerPoint format into what? Into SPSS format, which I have done for you for saving time. So now go to the files that we have downloaded for to the LMS. And you can see there's a file called session 4 salad. Can you see that? Session 4 salad. Why not you open that file? So you have got this information. You have the experience level in years. The score is the aptitude marks that person has got. The then salary and some other information is there. Not we are not going to use it today. So if you go to the data view, the data is there. Experience levels in years are given. O is given and the salary thousands of dollars is given. So the first person has 4 years of experience in the aptitude test. That person has got 78 marks out of 100, and then the salary is $24,000. Right? Is it clear? Is it open? Any question or problem? You can ask. Online. I have Right. Now let's see how to perform a regression analysis. You can go to analyze. Go to analyze. Go to regression. Go to linear. Follow these steps. Right. Analyze, regression, linear. Now it's not correlation, it's regression. Linear. Linear. Right. Shall I click on that? Right. Then the usual dialog box appears. But this time it asks what the dependent variable. What the dependent variable? What the dependent variable? Tell it. Put the dependent variable into salary. Then it asks what are the independent variables. What are the independent variables? Two independent variables are there. What are the two? One we have the experience, the first one, and then you can put the score, the marks that person got on the aptitude test. Two things. Right? The experience and the score. Right? For the time, later on we have the intricacies when we test the regression functions. We do that later. Then now, once you do that, just press OK. It's okay to press OK. When you know tables gonna now, they come several tables. There are several number of tables come. Number of tables come. Now let's try to see what are these tables and how to interpret the values in these tables. Right? The first table is this. Ignore that table altogether. One table again, ignore. Great relief, sir. Okay. Second table is the model summary table. Can you see that? First table just okay. Second table, go to the R squared well. That's the only thing that you have to look at. But the R squared well. Now, when you did your statistics, you should have done this, and you should have. Now, what's the R squared well? In your first year, second year, you had this what? Regression analysis. What's the R squared? Don't worry, I'm 50. Right. Okay. Put R square. R square means R to the power of 2. R bar. Here it's written as R square, but actually it's R square. R to the power of 2. R to the power of 2. R square. R square. Now, if we just can put that 2, so it has written as R square. What's R square? R square, please write down. Is the explanatory power. Is the explanatory power. Is the explanatory power of the independent variable. The independent variable. The explanatory power of the independent variable. Which is generally expressed. Which is generally expressed. Which is generally expressed. It is generally expressed as a percentage. As a percentage. So here, what's the R square value? 0.834. If we express it as a percentage, what's the value? 83.4. But that's to express it percentage. 83.4. What does it mean? It means 83.4% of the variation in the salary is explained by the selected two independent variables. The two independent variables could explain 83.4% of the variation in the dependent variable itself. That means there's about 16% variation is explained by what? Other factors. Except these two. What do you say? Is the R square good? Yes. 83.4% is explained by the selected two factors. So therefore, remember this value more than 70%. Is clear. If this R square value is more than 70%, it's good. It's 83.4%. Keep that in mind. Now let's write down the explanation. The R square value, the R square value, 83.4%. 83.4% is interpreted as 83.4% of the 83.4% of the dependent variable, comma, salary of programmers, comma, salary of programmers. Salary of programmers is explained by the two selected independent variables, which are the marks in the aptitude test, and the experience level. And the experience level of the computer programs. R square value over 70%. Over 70%. R square value over 70% is considered to be acceptable. On the other hand, this also indicates On the other hand, this also indicates 16.6%. 16.6%. 16.6%. 16.6% of the variation. The variation in the salary variable. The salary variable. The salary variable. The salary variable is explained by other variables, except the marks and experience levels. The marks and the experience levels. The marks and the experience levels. So what's this? How did they come up with 16.6%? That's the line. 100% minus 83.4%. Anything above 70% is really good. Here it's extremely good. So two variables would predict, two variables would explain 83.6% of the dependent variable. So that's the first explanation that you have to make. Then let's come to the second table. The ANOVA table. In the ANOVA table, you have to look at the last two columns only. The last two columns indicate the test results. Please take down in the ANOVA table in a separate paragraph. In the ANOVA table, the last two columns indicate the F-test result. Since the seek value within brackets p value, probability value, since the seek value or the probability value, close brackets, is less than 0.05, it is concluded that the overall regression equation, it is concluded that the overall regression equation within brackets model is valid. The overall equation. What's the equation? Read the equation. Let me show you. What's the equation? This is the equation. The equation is this. Salary equals the intercept plus experience and score marks. How did we derive this equation? Very simple. Here salary equals the intercept. Now go to the third table, the last table, the fourth table you have. In the final table, and if you go to again to the SPSS output, you will see the same result. Go to the final. Can you see the final table? After the anode table, you have the final table. Can you see that? Now, since you cannot see that, I'm going to take this to the what? Reprint the PowerPoint file. So let me take to the PowerPoint file and explain. This is the last table. Here you can see the same table is there. First, you can see something called the intercept is there. Can you see that? Intercept here. Unfortunately, it's not written as intercept. It's written as what? Constant. In SPSS terminology, constant means the intercept. Constant means what? The intercept. So what's the intercept value? 3.174. So I can say the dependent variable is salary. So the intercept is how much? 3.174. Then plus. Why I have to plus? Then we have the, this is the beta coefficients. These are the coefficients of the independent variables, which are the slopes. I can take plus 1.404 experience level. The experience level. Then again plus, I would say the beta coefficient is 0.251. That's the marks. So this is what we call the overall regression equation. How would you write that? Again, very simple. You can write any equation like what? Y equals alpha plus beta x. Here, y is what? What's y? Salary equals. Then the intercept. What's the intercept? 3.174. Then plus beta 1. What's beta 1? You have two independent variables. There are two independent variables. So therefore, what we can call it beta 1 x1 plus beta 2 x2. Because you have two independent. You cannot do it now. My God. So there's a smart code here right there. Before smart codes came, we have to write it on the board, isn't it? So then beta 1 is the slope of the first independent variable. What's that? 1.404. Right there. That's the experience level. Now I will say experience. EXP. Then again plus. What's the next variable's slope? 0.251. 0.251. What's that? Marks. So this is the overall equation. So you should know to write this by looking at the last table of the regression answer. How you write that? Very simple. You say what? Salary of the dependent variables equals the intercept is 3.174 plus experience 1.404 experience level, then plus 0.251 marks. That's the overall equation. Now let's try to understand what. Can we interpret this equation? We take one by one and try to understand. Now what is 3.174? Now suppose if a computer programmer has 0 experience and 0 marks, What would be the salary that person gets? Computer programmer gets 0 marks for the aptitude. As well as 0 salary, 0 marks as well as 0 experience. Two independent variables are 0. Then what happens? 0 experience, 0 into 1.0404, it's 0. Then score is 0 into 251, it's 0. Then this part goes off. Then only the intercept remains. What's the intercept? 3.174. That's expressed in $1,000. So if you convert it to $1,000, it's how much? 3,170. Such a programmer will still receive 3,174. But you should be able to write down. In the above equation, the intercept, the intercept 3.174 means 3.174 means that a computer programmer who has zero experience and 0 marks for the aptitude test will still receive a salary of $3,174. $3,174. Why $3,174? Because these are expressed, salaries expressed as in thousands. That's why $3,174. Right. So now we understand what 3,001.174. Right. Now we try to understand what do we mean by 101.404. Can you tell me what's 1.404? These were explained to you in your O levels, in your first grade, and just remind me. What's 1.404? It means this. If you increase 1 year of experience, the salary goes up by what? How much? Computer programmer can get experience get also take a value, no? If you increase the computer programmer's salary by 1 year, the salary goes up by how much? 1,400. Again expressed in terms. Please take down. In the above equation, the experience variable has got a coefficient of 1.404. Has got a coefficient of 1.404. This is interpreted as if the computer programmer's salary, if the computer programmer's experience goes up by 1 year, comma, the salary of him or her, the salary of him or her goes up by 1,404 dollars. Right? Why does it go up? Everywhere, look, there is positive sign. Right? Before 1.4, and see that's positive. Now suppose this was a negative sign. The middle positive sign. Suppose this was a negative sign because here there's positive, right? Suppose this was a negative sign. In that case, what happens? You see that the computer salary, the program salary go down by 1,404. It's up. Let's go to the last function percent. For the marks will be given, score will be given 0.251. Now I interpreted all others. I interpreted the intercept. I interpreted the first coefficient of the experience variable. Now can you interpret the last coefficient? 0.251. How can I interpret it? Again, very simple, right? The coefficient, you can say the mark has a coefficient of 0.251. The mark has a coefficient of mark variable, the mark variable has a coefficient of 0.251. Comma, which is interpreted as, which is interpreted as now you can check. If the aptitude marks, if the aptitude marks goes up by 1 mark, the computer programmer's salary, will go up by 251. Again, why not? Because that's a possibility. Fine. So you should be able to see. Right. Now let's make our first prediction. How to predict? Write down prediction. So I told you revision analysis is used for prediction. Say, put a small topic and prediction. Say prediction. Yeah. Using the above equation, estimate within brackets predict, estimate within brackets predict, the salary of a computer programmer, the salary of a computer programmer who is having 10 years of experience, and who had obtained 50 marks in the aptitude test. In the aptitude test. 50 marks in the aptitude test. So the person has got 10 years of experience and 50 marks in the aptitude. Can you do the prediction now? Can you tell me what's the predicted salary of this guy based on the past data? You did the regression equation and now you will be able to predict. If you in your company, if you want to do a prediction for the future, get past data, for example, revenue and maybe advertising expenditure, run the regression, pick the values, and do the prediction for the future. How can you now tell me the value? Substitute. So let's do it together to do a prediction. So these are the equations. I'm going to use Excel for that to do a prediction. So see the prediction, right? What's the prediction? Okay. So I'm going to make this one over here. I'm going to put equal sign, exception. Right. 3.174, 1.404. What's the experience level? What's the out of the 10? Multiply by 10. Then what's the aptitude score? What's the aptitude score? 50 marks. So you have to put here. So you multiply 3.174 plus 1.404 into 10 years. Then 0.251 into 50. Because that's the score. So what's your predicted salary? 29.764, which is translated into $29,764. So write down that in dollars, $79,764. You just substitute the values, plug in the values, and you can get the predicted salary. Is that clear? That's how you can go prediction. So we are done the first step of prediction in your life. Using what? Regression. So this is the sole purpose of regression. And one more thing, and you can go home. What that? With that we finish, right? And then next week we'll do something else, right? Now here, this is the one more thing that I'm going to tell you. Now is that clear? How to do a prediction? First, using past data, run a regression analysis, and then calculate what? The intercept as well as the coefficients, the slope, and then plug in the things to get the expected salary or sales or whatever other thing that you. Next thing what we have to understand is, now I told you, by looking at the F-test in the ANOVA table, you tell what did you say? You thought whether the overall equation is valid or not, right? So what was the conclusion? Overall, the equation is valid. But the individual predictors might be significant or not. It's a different story. It might be or might not. To see that, you need to see the significant levels individually given in the last step. Now tell me, is the experience level a significant predictor? Look at the significance. Is it a significant predictor? Yes. Why? Because the sig value is less than 0.05. Why are you always saying sig values should be less than 0.05? So you will have what? More than 95%. So yes, experience level is a significant predictor. Then how about the marks? Is it a significant predictor? Marks is a significant predictor. What's the signal level? 0.005. Is 0.005 less than 0.05? Yes. So it's also a significant predictor on an individual basis. Overall equation, whether it's significant or not, how can you tell? But look at the ANOVA table. Last two columns of the ANOVA table, which indicates the F test. And if you want to see whether the individual variables are significant predictors or not, you look at the coefficient test. And the last column which says whether the sig value is less or not. You can take down that as well and we go home after that safely. You can write down. On an individual basis, 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 the coefficient table indicates that, the coefficient table indicates that, the coefficient table indicates that both the experience variable, both the experience, 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 and the aptitude marks, the aptitude marks are significant predictors. Are significant predictors. Are significant predictors. Are significant predictors. First of all, accordingly, it could be recommended that, accordingly, it could be recommended that if a computer programmer needs to increase his or her salary, he or she needs to either increase the experience level, or increase the marks in the aptitude test. Right. So those are recommendations that you can give. But suppose, right? But suppose the experience was not significant. Then can you tell this? Can you recommend the computer programmer to increase the experience level? No. Suppose it was not significant, you can tell. We'll do that next week. We are going to take qualitative variable and we'll. So with that, thank you very much. We'll meet. Thank you. Okay, 5 minutes positive variance for you. Go home safely. And the two batch leaders, they have already compiled the information. So please send it to them. Thank you very much for your attention.